So what happens when you use the brand new ombre border from Michael Miller Fabrics with these great creative grids, triangle rulers? Well, this is the start of it. I'm hoping you'll finish it with me right now. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Making It Fun. I'm Rob Appell, your host today from Michael Miller Fabrics, and I'm super excited that you are here. This is a really easy project, and what's made it so fantastic is our great fabric from Michael Miller. Now, if you've watched me create projects in the past, you know I love ombre fabrics or variegated fabrics, fabrics that change color as they go. You can do so many amazing things with just a little bit of fabric this way because you get all the color grading. It's wonderful for landscapes and it's wonderful for patchwork. Now, one of the cool things, no, let's back up. The thing I am most excited about our new ombre borders from the Quintessential line at Michael Miller is the fact that if you look at these beautiful fabrics, the gradient runs from selvage all the way through to the other selvage. A lot of other ombres will basically repeat here at the fold. This is the fold in the fabric, and these are the 4 colors we're going to use today, and I should have memorized the names, but I did not. So I'm going to say I've got orange, we've got some beautiful pink, how about a blue? And this amazing green, which I absolutely love as well. There, maybe you can see again how incredible the colors are and how fantastically these all translate. And this is going to be a real advantage when working with the project we're doing today, which is basically like a variegated tumbling block. But the pattern is called the Ombre Sashay. And here it is right here from Susan Emery. This is a free download over at michaelmillerfabrics.com. You just go to the inspirations page and then the free patterns, free downloads, and this will be right here for you. And now I'm going to basically walk you through. There's the yardage, it shows you the rulers you need, and you can use either the 8.5, which is the smaller version, or the smaller version that I have, or there's this giant one, which is what, a 13? Oh, 12.5. You can use a big ruler to cut small triangles, but you can't necessarily cut a small triangle ruler to cut bigger triangles. So you can use either. I'm going to use the 8.5 today because, like the instructions say right here, we're going to cut everything at 8.5. So I took my yardage. You'll need 2/3 of a yard from each of the 4 colors, and you'll need a little extra for the other blue we use on the border. And then from here, what we're going to basically do is we're just going to cut down our 8.5-inch strips. So let's get that prepped first. And I'm a sucker for efficiency. So what I really want to do is I want to fold these up now, and I want to get them all set selvage to selvage here and on the fold over here, because we're going to cut these all as one big group. I'm just going to stack that up there, fold these over here. And as I start to put them together, now I'm really most concerned with lining up this fold, making sure the fold over here is really nice and crisp. Trying to get both selvages on top of each other as well, because we are going to be trimming off the selvages here in just 1 second. And I need to get everything tidied back on the cutting mat where the cutting will happen. So let's go ahead and get these somewhat organized. And then as we bring these over here, I'm going to get them beautifully organized. And we're going to cut everything on the fold, so getting that fold is really important. And now, because we're going to cut top and bottom using the straight edge of the strips, I'm also making sure, as hopefully you can see here, that all of my strips are lining up nice. Perfect. And then the next thing we need is a regular rectangular style ruler over here, because I'm just going to lay this on here. Make sure that it's running perpendicular, or this line is on the edge. We're going to cut right here, and I've already practiced this with the ones that are on the wall, so I can tell you we've got a good 1/4 inch to spare, but not much more, okay? So don't get carried away down here, but take off all of those selvages, set them aside for later, and then we're going to use this cut line first. Now I'm going to rotate this to make my life easy as a right-handed individual, and hopefully you'll be able to see nicely in our overhead camera here. The triangle ruler itself is designed also with a beautiful straight line down the center, and there's a little bit of an opaqueness so that adds in your 1/4 inch. We're looking for this black straight line, and it's going to go straight down. I'm lining up the bottom here, and I do need to take just one more second and get things a little bit more tidy, a little bit more organized. There we go. And again, so straight line down the middle there. The first cut, we're going to cut from edge to edge all the way through, and we're cutting off first what is a half triangle. You can probably see them down here along the bottom row on the design wall. Those half triangles are going to be one of your darkest, and then on the other side of that fold would have been the lightest. Where did it go? I guess that was it, sorry. Crazy, the colors are so different from edge to edge that I didn't even pay attention to what I was doing. So at any rate, here we go. Those two are the opposite directions, and now we're gonna go ahead and start cutting, and you're gonna need those, but you'll have some extras of the half triangles left over. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna come through here, and we're just gonna take a moment. We're gonna spin our ruler or template, and I'm gonna line it up along that bottom flat edge again down there. And I'm gonna come up here, and I'm just gonna cut. I'm going to keep these in order because the dark to light is super important to get that gradient cube you're looking at over there. So let's take this right now, and we're just gonna call that stack 1. Okay, I'm gonna slide this down here. We're gonna need 3 of these triangle stacks. So here comes stack 2. So I just rotated the ruler, sorry, got ahead of myself, and I lined up this edge over here along the edge, bottom edge is lined up. Okay, so here is stack number 2. Now I'm coming down over here. Rotate your ruler one last time, line up that edge, make sure you're getting beautiful triangles. There we go. And stack number 3. This is what we need for today's project. This is what I consider bonus. A little extra from me, Rob, at making it fun. So what I then do, and this is not for this pattern, this is just for life, I then make sure that these folds are really nice and crisp. Really nice and crisp that way, because then once those folds are like that, I can take the flat edge or that black straight line of the ruler, I can put it back in here on the fold and on the bottom. I'm going to do the worst cut you've ever seen me do, I hope, and hopefully you'll never see me do this again, but I've already got myself organized. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to cut this way, still protecting my hand and my body, but basically cutting overhand, and that's not super great, but it leaves a little bit of scrap. Like I said, we didn't have much to spare at the beginning, but we had a quarter. Throw that away. And now these can be folded, and these could technically be pressed out to make another beautiful triangle. Now this is the triangle from the center of the gradient, okay? So just keeping that in mind, you might want those for this stack, but what we really want to pull out of here is from our dark to our medium to the light now. So these, like I said, are just bonus triangles. You're welcome. And we'll go ahead and set those aside. Let me teach you how to count through this so that you have everything the way you want it to make the layout on the design wall super easy. Okay, so when I do this, now when I cut this, I was looking at this, and this one was that beautiful dark burnt orange down to the yellow. So now I'm going to take what is my dark, my medium dark will go right on top of it, to the medium. Now, okay, so that was here, here, and here. Now this was folded in half. So now you're looking at the wrong sides of the fabric, right? So here it is again. Now, if I just went 1, 2, 3, now we're gonna work backwards, 4, 5, 6. So we're gonna grab this one, and then this is going to be lighter than the last one, but darker than the next one. Here we go, you can see better. There it goes, and it's gonna finish out with the light. And if you've never built a tumbling blocks quilt before, that's the trick, finding your darks, your mediums, and your lights to get the blocks to look like blocks and getting them all in the same orientation within the quilt. We're gonna go to the design wall here in just a second and show you how to put all of this together. But until then, let's keep counting these work so you get the idea. Here now from my pink family is technically because it's folded over, and if you're not sure, just double check. You may have noticed I didn't always fold the lightest color on the top. So in doing that here now, I've noticed that this is going to be the middle of my stack, right? You can see this is lighter than this. So now I'm just gonna go, and I have my lights on top, so now I'm going right sides down, light, little darker, or known as 3. Remember, then this becomes 4, 5, 6, and so when you flip it back over, light to dark in that color range. And we're going to do that with all of our triangles to make sure that we have all 4 colors organized, and we're going to need every triangle we've cut to create the quilt you see on the wall. It'll be super easy. Maybe not so easy. Stay there. And then again, as I have my darks to my lights over here, I'm just going to grab my pattern. I'm feeling awfully disorganized today. If you've watched the show before, you're like, it's no different. Now, and if you go through your pattern pieces, again, you've got all these wonderful color diagrams. This is the one I'm looking for first. I'm going to just go ahead and build the center today. When you go to put on your borders, you're just going to cut the wonderful strips of the 5th color of the ombre there, the more of the deeper blues, and you can use that on the border as well. But we're just going to work today on the center of the project. Super simple, and I will show you in just a moment how to sew these triangles together as well. So when I came to my design wall, I found that it was really easiest to go ahead and start at the bottom and build in those half triangles following the diagram I had here on my pattern. Because by doing that, it really made everything line up nicely for the triangles themselves. Then in doing that, I went back to my pattern, and you can see very clearly where the dark and the medium and the light blocks fall. Dark at the bottom, medium on what I consider the left-hand side of the project, and then the lights are over on the right-hand side of the project. So as I'm looking through this here, on top of the next one we're going to do, next door to this blue, is another block of the orange. Okay, so looking a little bit more closely, I think you can see over here is a half block of orange. We're going to now build the full block of orange right here. So I want to go to my orange stack I had. Remember, we have them stacked dark to light, and our darkest ones are going to land right here in the bottom, with the very darkest in this position here. So I find it's actually easier in this case now to flip the fabrics back over. And then I'm going to lay this in. And if you look real carefully, there's a straight line running through each of the different columns that we have as we go. And so I'm just trying to make sure everything stays nice and straight so that it stays organized on the design wall. Now I've put my darkest here against this lighter area because that gives a lot of nice contrast. I'm going to now find my other dark piece or edge of this fabric, and I'm going to work it back in so that the dark touches the dark. Then I can keep coming around this way on this one orange color family, working again dark all the way around into the light colors. I like to try to match up the piece of fabric from where it came from. So if this here was the darkest, or excuse me, this translation here goes right into this color, and you can see this is a little lighter here. So what I'm trying to do is chase the light around the circle. And I've gone ahead and assembled that there, and you can see again, and if you look at over here on the design wall, if you look at the orange and you look at the blue, you can see, and the green of course as well, because they're full cubes now, you can see that they all have that same lighting effect, and that's what's going to give us this really neat optical illusion or three-dimensional effect within our project here. We build them out, we build them out, we build them out, and then we start to sew them together. The key is to get the entire thing assembled. So let me do that real quick and then turn the cameras back on so you can see all of it in fabric. Then I'll teach you how to sew these two triangles together. Here it is, all laid out on the design wall, and you can see how much fun, character, and movement this project really takes on because of the fantastic gradient within this ombre border from Michael Miller. I'm telling you, having that edge-to-edge color range really gives you a huge world of options. Now, a moment ago, I told you you would use all of your triangles that you made, but you wouldn't use all of your half triangles that you made. But apparently I'm a filthy liar today. I didn't do all the counting correct, nor did I read all the instructions correctly, obviously. I knew we would have leftovers here of the half triangles, but we do have a few leftovers of these triangles as well. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how to sew all of these together because it's just so much easier than disassembling off of the wall. But I do want to point out real quick, even if you look at the bottom of these half triangles or up here at the top of the half triangles, what you may notice is when you cut those half triangles from using the edge where we remove the selvages, depending on which way you fold the fabrics, you may not get a dark right purple triangle, so to speak. What I want you to do is just not put any of the half triangles on the same color block units that you see. So you wouldn't use blue on top of blue, you'd use the purple or the green or whatever. So that's what happened to me, is my half triangles that I was making like this were not always the same orientation as what was needed in the pattern, but when you look at the wall, you can see that I've got a very nice layout and those half triangles only bring more character to the big blocks. So that's what I want you to pay attention to. Now let's talk about how we can build this, how we can sew this together, because it is so very easy. Remember, everything here is running in strips, technically, so that even though it's triangles, it's going to go back together as a row by row by row quilt. So just think top to bottom right now, and therefore you would be starting, let's say, with one of these half triangles. Let's just build kind of a fun row. We'll sew these seams together so you know what's happening. So let's say this here is going to be our fun row. Let's find another one with a little higher contrast so we'll be able to see it when we're all done. Okay? What I really want to do is I want to sew on this first seam first, just like you would be doing. Okay, so you will have one of your half triangles and then you will have one of your full triangles, and I want you to go ahead and just marry these seams up, match up those edges. Creative Grids has one flat edge, and then the rest are triangular edges. So in order to get things to line up, what they really like us to do is take one of the flat edges when possible and line it up here with one of the triangle edges and make sure that both lines overlap. That will account for what we need with our triangles. If you've not sewn triangles together before, you may need to be warned that things are going to go a little different than you expect. If you've been frightened by the bias in your life, do not fear the bias, but I want you to go slow. I also would like you to set your seam allowance for a 2.0 instead of a 2.5 or something else. The shorter the stitch length on your machine, the less movement of the feed dogs, so the less erratic things are going to get. Like I said, it's on the bias. I'm just going to go ahead and drop my presser foot, and I'm going to let the machine do all of the work for me. Now, as I'm stitching along, I'm just watching that 1/4 inch edge guide, making sure both of my edges of my triangles, you can see basically actually hands-free with just a little bit of steering or encouragement, keep everything running through nicely. We're just going to sew all the way through. Okay, and let's see how this turned out. Okay, wonderful. You can still see the tip of that purple on the other side of the orange. Now as we go to press this over, what I would normally do is just press into, let's say just press from the top down. Each new triangle, I'd press into that new triangle as I go. So that's my flat or my first. So I'm going to press into my second triangle. And then you're going to find, like I mentioned with the triangles, you might find a little bit of this overlap thing happening. Things kind of shift when you do on the bias, but they're accurate because of the way the next triangle is going to line up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one, and let's do this again. This is going to work out great for the example. I don't know that I'm so concerned about it on the design wall, but I'm going to use this blunt tip on top of a pointy tip, show you how that works again. So now I'm going to fold this back over. And I'm lining it all up, looking at this tip, lining up this edge here. And now I'm actually going to come over here and I'm going to sew starting right up here all the way through with the bulk of my project now on the feed dogs. That'll keep stretching at a minimum. And again, we'll just let the machine do the work. Okay, let's press this over and see if we've made our point, little pun intended. Remember to press into that new unit you just made. And now you can see how beautiful all of these are starting to line up in this really perfect straight row. And remember, this is a 1/4 inch right in here, so when we sew on the next 1/4 inch seam allowance with that next row that would be next to it, it's going to line up and look beautiful. Precision is only as important as you want it to be. The triangles will go together very simply, and this project will keep you warm on a winter day regardless of if the points match or not. So you've got a little bit of work to do. You've got some triangles to make, of course. You've got some wonderful layout time over here on your design wall and some easy center seams. Once you get all of these center rows, it's just going to be row by row as you sew and go. That sounds kind of cool if you ask me. And then last but not least, as I showed you a moment ago, we're just going to take on one more of the ombres, and it's going to be cut perfectly to fit so that you get these gorgeous gradations as it goes through with the seam allowances and everything to match up to your perfect little quilt here. So it's just going to be awesome. I know you're all going to do terrific. I would love to hear from all of you in the comments below what you think of this new awesome Quintessentials variegated or ombre border from Michael Miller Fabrics. It is absolutely terrific. We've got some beautiful other textures that are part of this product line, as well as I've got another video using a really cool gradient and solid coming up very, very soon. So stay tuned. Please make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a moment of the action, and I will be back with another tutorial for you very, very soon, right here at Making It Fun. What? Are you actually still here? That's fantastic. Make sure you check out some more of my other fabulous content right here on YouTube. I think it's terrific. Please subscribe while you're there and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss another moment of the fun.